I'm not one to make a lot of statements, especially anything that is even remotely politically inclined, but I have to say this. I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 years that fishing in Ohio is sick. I go to bodies of water that I have fished for years and am accustomed to catching 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 60 fish in a day. And I walk out of these places with less than 10 fish anymore. Kiser, I've almost given up on Kiser Lake because the Ohio DNR introduced wipers into that water and they've decimated the bass population. There just aren't as many bass as there used to be. I caught 2 fish at Kiser yesterday. They were quality fish. The third one was a dink, but the numbers are just not there. They're gone. And it's the same in the rivers. I can remember catching 50 plus fish on the river, and if I didn't catch 30, I felt like I got cheated. And if I go out anymore, if I catch 15, I had a great day. When I pay for a fishing license, I'm putting money into the Ohio DNR so that they can maintain our bodies of water, keep the fish populations up, and I realize they do other things with that money, but that's a big part of it. I buy a fishing license so I can go fishing, and I'm really disappointed in what's happened here in the last few years. And you know, there was a point where I thought, well, maybe, you know, it's me. Maybe I'm just not catching fish like I used to catch fish because I'm doing something wrong. And then I went to Michigan to visit my brother-in-law, fished with him up there, and have been back twice since. And every time I go there, I catch fish like I used to catch here. So it's not that I'm doing anything differently. It's not that I'm doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. The fishing in Ohio is sick, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to go online and contact my congressman. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I feel compelled to do something because fishing is my sport. Some people are into the stick and ball things, and that's great, you know, and I'm also a race fan. But fishing is my sport. Fishing is the one I participate in. That's what I do. So I'll keep you updated on what I plan and what I do. But fishing in Ohio is sick and it needs some attention. Seeing some fish bust over here in the shade, but I think they're crappie. I'm going to throw my spinnerbait around, and a little osprey eagle there. There are some lily pads over here, so there could be some bass moving. I'll throw my spinnerbait and I'll throw my wacky worm around and see who's moving. I don't know if you can hear it over there in the background. There's a rain gutter drain. Rain is draining into the lake, and that makes this particular patch of water a little more highly oxygenated than the water around it. And the fish know that. The fish that live here know that after a rain, this is going to be a good fertile area to hunt. So anytime you can find a place where you know rain comes in and drains into the lake, that's a good place to hit after it rains. Today is Saturday, the 9th of October. And this time of year in the late fall, you really do not know when your last trip is going to be. Sometimes October in Ohio is kind of like March. It can start out really warm, like today is supposed to be 80 degrees. And then literally in a week's time, a cold front passed through and, you know, you've got frost. So you just never know here. So each time I go out, I try to make the most of my trips because it could be the last one for the year. I don't know. I'm going to try to go again next weekend. They say on the long range forecast that the warm weather is supposed to hold. So we'll see. But I wanted to start out by acknowledging my younger brother Kevin, who passed away last Friday in Berryville, Arkansas. He loved to fish and he loved the water, so hopefully I can catch a fish, and my first one will be dedicated to him. It is 10:15. I originally told the guys that I was going to fish with that I was coming out here, and then when they emailed and said that they were not coming, I opted for the river. So Peggy helped me shuttle the car, you know, to get down to the river, but when I got there, the rain had the water running really fast. So I went back to my original plan, which was to come out here. And when I got here, it took me about 15-20 minutes to re-rig everything, to get my lake baits on and take my river baits off. So I am starting the day with a spinnerbait. I've got a wacky worm right over my shoulder here. I've got a chatterbait with a swim bait rig to it, and then over here I've got the rattle trap. It's supposed to be sunny, near 80. I have no idea what the wind is going to be today. It's already blowing a little bit, so it tells me it's not going to be good. Who knows, I may catch something today. All right, if you are going to have one fish dedicated to you on the day, and that is for Kevin, that's the one to have. Got him on my little chatterbait right there. That's a good 1.25 pounds. That's a chunky fish. He's out feeding, and the chatterbait pays off. Number one. When I talk about casting in bass fishing, I always stress that accuracy is way more important than distance. Unlike any other type of fishing, when you're fishing for crappie or bluegill, you're just tossing a bobber out, and you know, sometimes you're trying to get close to some cover, but most of the time, if you're in the general vicinity, you're good. In bass fishing, you're trying to land that lure in a very specific spot, so when you move it into the strike zone, it's right where you want it to be. So casting for bass is always about accuracy, except today. I am seeing absolutely no bait fish movement out here whatsoever. I'm seeing no bass bust the surface whatsoever. So in a day like today, what I'm doing is I am fan casting, meaning I cast out there, and then a minute later I'll cast there, then there, then there, and I'm trying to cover as much water as I can. So in this particular instance, on this day, distance is definitely more important. You still have to have control so that you can get the bait where you want it, but distance is important today because I have no specific target. I'm just kind of aiming out in the middle of nowhere until the fish start schooling and showing me where they are. I'm just blind casting. I'm just throwing out here in the middle of nowhere, hoping that somebody hits. Now, I always remember where my bait hits, because if I get a strike, I'm going to go back, because this time of year, it's likely that there are other bass with him. So I'm always paying attention to where I'm casting, but I'm not casting at a specific target. I'm just throwing, and that's why this little bait, the lipless crankbait, is good for this type of fishing, because I can cover a lot of water with it and increase my opportunities for getting a strike. So right now I'm switching back and forth between the lipless crankbait and the chatterbait. The chatterbait so far is the only one I've had hits. I've had 3 hits on it, and I've got 1 fish in the boat, and all 3 of the hits were really strong. So I'm going back and forth between the 2. All right, I have been out here since 10:20 this morning. I caught a fish about 11:15, and it is after 3:30, and this is the next fish I caught, and he's pushing 2 pounds. That is a nice fish right there. That's a largemouth. He's bleeding just a little bit, but he's all right. that's 2 in the boat after, what, 6 hours? If you look right up ahead of me, that little riffle in the water right there, that's a pot of bait fish. There's another one right out there, but this one seems to be churning. That means somebody is following them. Somebody's on the feed. And as you can see, they are moving. So I'm going to watch them for a second and I see how they broke up. All right, I'm going to throw past that, come back through, and if there is a bass following this little pot of bait fish, or multiple bass, maybe I can get him to hit. So this time of year, the bait fish start schooling up, and eventually the bass will key in on them. See, I just missed that. There's the school of bait fish right there. That looks like a little school of bait fish right over there. And in the fall, this is what you do. You just chase these little pods around, and when you see the bass blowing up on them, that's a good pod to throw at. And then what you want to do is when you get up to them, you want to throw your bait beyond the pod and then bring your bait back through the pod. And so there's another one right over there. I might work my way right over there. That's a bit of a run though. I think I might hang out here a second. See if I can get lucky. That one's getting pretty active over there though.